My name is Immy Barry, and this is the Voices in Media podcast for the INST 466 class, part of the University of Maryland. I am, again, Immy Barry. I'm today's host, and I'm joined by my good friend, Charlie.
Hey, yo, it's your boy Charlie Taylor, also known as Mr. UMD, also known as I, also known as Future Denzel Washington, also known as Charlie Pull Off in a Rocket Ship. Skirt!
So again, this is the Voices in Media podcast. So we talk about underrepresented voices in media. We also try to connect it back to technology, which we'll see later in today's episode. But today we have a very special guest, Charlie Taylor. Charlie is my good friend, and he is also a theater major. So he is very well vested in the arts. He loves to act. He loves to write. Very artistic and creative man. And as we know, for context, we can already see, obviously, but Charlie is a black man, a young black man from Baltimore, right? Coming from Baltimore.
Yes, sir. Baltimore, Maryland.
And we know that there is a lack of representation of not just, of black people, but people of color in general, in film, in theater. So first I want to ask about a little bit about you. So I guess just tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of where you're from and how you got into theater/acting.
Well, as you heard, I'm Charlie Taylor. I'm from Baltimore, baby, specifically West Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? And I got into theater because ever since I was 5 years old, the first thing I knew I ever wanted to do was be an actor, because my city and where I'm from, it has a dark cloud over it and it has a bad reputation to it. So much so that inner city youth and the youth in my city as a whole, we don't get too many chances. College and things like that are often out of reach with people in my city and the youth in my city, because like people are like, oh, they're from Baltimore, so they don't expect much from us in the first place. So I always thought of acting being the beacon, because it was something I loved, for one. And also, it was a way to shed a positive light on my city and be in the spotlight and just be seen as a whole. So people see Baltimore is more than just the murderers, the poverty rate, and it's more than just, a sad city as a whole. People see real life talent from Baltimore through me and other inner city youth that, have that hunger and that patience, that want to shine through all of that and want to make a true difference in our city. And that's my overall goal, just use acting to make a positive outlook and make a positive impact on my city as a whole.
That is absolutely beautiful. Wow. So how would you say, well, first of all, when you were, let's talk about theater in specific, right? Let's talk about theater in specific. So how would you say diversity is in terms of the theater world, let's say specifically in college/University of Maryland?
I'd say when it comes to the theater world as a whole, it's gotten a whole lot better, but I hate the fact that I can only say it's gotten a whole lot better in recent years. Now people want to, show what's really happening with black folks and what's really, going on. Back then it used to be like, specifically, a poet I would love to shout out and celebrate is Lorraine Hansberry, who was the first black woman ever to have a play produced by Broadway, which is A Raisin in the Sun. And that's a play that I love. I read that book. Y'all should check that out if you have not. And it's crazy how, like, it took until recent years for black people to finally get that recognition in theater and in Broadway. And it took me a while to, like, realize that, yeah, black people actually hold, our own, and we actually hold a genuine portion of Broadway and theater as a whole. Because growing up, when I thought of theater and Broadway, I thought of princesses, princes, kings, English people, British people. I thought of stuff like that. And, like, I always thought, like, yeah, this is a world I want to be a part of, but where exactly do I fit in? And it wasn't until this year, specifically being a part of a production of Hip Hop Anansi and seeing the play For Color Girls, was another good book, and also taking a class called Black Theater History and Performance, that I truly was able to see, the impact that my people had in theater and the positive outlook that we put onto theater as a whole. Reading books such as Two Trains Running, The Color Museum, and what's another one? Home by Sam R. Wilson. Those are heavy hitters right there. Those are heavy hitters, heavy books, and that really shed a light on the stuff that people just refuse to talk about, because people would rather look at theater through a lens of peaches and cream, like stuff is all good. When in reality, theater, like any other art, is a media that's meant to hit. It's meant to be personal. It's meant to feel, it's meant to impact you, because if it doesn't, then what's the point of it as a whole? Because that's what art is.
For context, I also was in the same production that Charlie was in. We were in a production called Hip Hop Anansi, which is a story. First of all, it's African folklore. It's a story based on African folklore about a trickster, worldwide trickster named Anansi.
Anansi, where you be?
Wants to win this delicious meal called the fly pie, but in order to win it, he has to have the help of all of his kids, and it's like a story that's kind of catered towards children, because the main moral is that you're supposed to work together to share and teamwork, right?
And it touches on past and present of hip hop history. I remember talking to my professor. She was actually a part of the production of it, and she even told me, like, this is the future. This is the future of black theater. Like, she sees kids in the future reading Hip Hop Anansi and more productions being made of it, because it's such a rare thing. It's such a rare and powerful thing, and it happening at the school. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity type situation. But when it happened, it made an impact so big that it affected the theater department for generations to come into school. Yeah. And that's what I love. Like, and I'm forever grateful and appreciative that I was even a part of a production like that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about film for a second. So when we think of film, we often think of like Hollywood, right? We think of big, stars.
Definitely.
We have our big pillars and big actors in the black community, right? Like, we have like Will Smith, we have Wesley Snipes, we have Viola Davis, right? We have some big, great actors and actresses in the community.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of them are compared to their counterparts, like specifically their white counterparts, right? And it's also good for other people of color. They're typically paid less. They are often not offered scripts that are either considered like Oscar winning, or they're not put in lead roles for Oscar winning. Like, if I were to ask you probably know the answer, right? But I guess can ask the general audience, right? If I were to ask you how many black women have won the Academy Award for Best Actress in a Lead Role, and just don't say anything, let's just let them think for a second or two. Do you know the answer? Because I know the answer. There has only been one. We are, I think, just in, March of 2025, so a few months ago.
Yes, sir.
We just had the 96th or 97th Academy Awards.
Yes, sir.
Almost 100 years, and only one black woman has won it, and that was over 20 years ago with Halle Berry.
And that's insane.
Yes.
Because look at stars like Taraji P. Henson, bro.
And she was like maybe a year or two ago, something like that. She was doing an interview and she was crying because she was talking about how she was considered quitting Hollywood and considered quitting acting because she was paid unfairly because of the treatment and the conditions
exactly
she was working in.
Paige Hurd, Taraji P. Henson,
and if I were to ask,
Amani Hakem, I could go on and on.
Name them.
I can go on and on. Paige Hurd. I already said that. Paige Hernandez.
Because she said,
like, come on now. Viola Davis, you just said it.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg. Queen Latifah.
Well, Viola technically has won Oscar, but she hasn't won Best Actress.
But that's not enough, bro.
I know, yeah.
Those are superstars. Right. Household names, bro. They deserve all of it. They could do, with all due respect, stuff that the majority can do and more, bro. They already showed their stripes. They showed their talent. But to not get the recognition they deserve, as not only black people, but women, that just leaves a sour taste in my mouth because they are so talented and so inspiring.
Because one thing is that there's a lack of representation everywhere, right? There's a lack of representation in terms of the faces on screen, in terms of the roles. But there's also a lack of representation in terms of the people in the, like, when an actor, right, like, let's like a big time actor, like Leonardo DiCaprio, like Viola Davis, like Will Smith, right, when they're in these negotiations or in trying to, for the contract for a film, right, I've never been in that room, but they've talked about how, like, they're in like a room with people usually, right, if they're either being told a script or like to negotiate how much they should be paid for a film, and there are often no black people in those rooms, right? There are not black people at the top leadership roles or these roles of, the people who own the purse, in other words, give out the money, right? and that leads to issues down the road. I mean, if I were to ask another question, right? If I were to ask
before you ask that question, I just want to say another thing I'm tired of seeing is like studios and big time companies stealing from, black actors and black. For example, Scary Movie 1 and 2 were directed by the Wayans brothers, Damon and Marlon Wayans, 2 other household names. But then their studio took it from them. And first of all, every movie after that was not good. Notice that. But Damon and Marlon Wayans went on to direct other movies like White Chicks, A Haunted House. What's another one? The Wayans brothers, bro. Like, they have their own show, The Wayans brothers, for example. Hits, bro. Cultural phenomenons. But for somehow the directors and the producers behind Scary Movie couldn't see that vision, and they took them off and took it from them, bro. That's not right.
Shame, yeah.
That's not right, bro. That's like if I was to, for example, go to a group or a demographic of people that I know nothing about, understand nothing about, work with them for a couple of years, then see their ideas and say, oh, this is cool, but I got my own vision of it and make it my own thing. That's not cool for 2 reasons. 1, I'm stealing. That's not my art. Those were not my visions. And 2, also the fact that I'm not these people. So how am I going to write something that's from these people and about these people, but I'm not a part of these people? That would make no sense, and it wouldn't hit to the target demographic because I'm not even a target demographic. So them doing that with Scary Movie, it broke my heart when I found that out. That was a blow. That was a big blow.
Yeah. I was gonna ask another question.
What's up?
I guess I'll pose this both to the audience and to you. Do you know how many black directors, man or woman, have won the Academy Award for Best Director?
How many? Zilch. 0.
We are about to be.
That is insane. That is insane.
I could be wrong with this statistic, but I think the first one to be nominated was, I think it was John Singleton directed Boys in the Hood. Right?
John Singleton, bro.
That was
Spike Lee.
He was like 24 or something when he was
Spike Lee, bro.
That one. He's won an Oscar for, I think, like screenplay. I forgot what it was. But
bro, that's not enough though.
I know. Yeah.
Do you see that all Spike Lee gave us, bro? Do you see that all? Bro, I'm pretty sure everybody alive that has been, we gonna say 2000s and up, no matter the demographic, where you from or whatever, can name at least one Spike Lee movie, bro.
I'm going to ask a little broad question, but how would you say technology, and I'll make it broad as to, so you can kind of answer however you want, but how would you say technology has impacted how you act and how you interact with the theater/acting world? So that can be technology in terms of social media, it can be assisted devices, however you want to answer that question.
Honestly,
so name the technology and how it's helped you.
Yeah, I feel you. Honestly, all technology has done for me, because like I'm the type of person where it's like I like everything natural. I like everything to feel natural, just my natural voice, my natural everything, So I try to shy away from technology as much as I possibly can when it comes to acting and theater. But I will say, like, even meeting Paige, hearing about Paige, for example, like, through social media, through networking, through stuff like LinkedIn, Handshake, Twitter, stuff like that. It networks. It lets other people know that I'm here. I'm here. I'm hungry. I want roles. I want to be in your production. And it just makes it easier as an actor and as a whole to just network and find other black actors, other minority actors that are in the same boat as me, that's hungry, especially from my area. Because it's so, well, for me at first, it was so hard to find other actors, other directors, other producers in Baltimore. Like, only the few that I met, the handful that I met, were from, like, summer jobs that they came in and talked to people. Social media made it easier to see, like, oh, I'm in Baltimore right now shooting a short film or shooting a movie, casting call, audition. Social media made it so much easier for me to see those, reach out, and be a part of those. And every opportunity that I've landed recently or past tense has been because I networked with someone through social media that also networked me with someone else that gave me the opportunity to be a part of those productions and auditions.
That is beautiful. I mean, we are obviously Gen Z, and we have grown up with social media and technology in the palm of our hands. Right?
Subway Surfers, bro. Temple Run. Angry Birds.
Oh boy. No, I mean, yeah, like we've had technology, in the palm of our hands, and I think it's really a useful tool. I mean, I think there are some downsides. Like so you know who Ethan Hawke is, right? Famous actor Ethan Hawke. His daughter Maya Hawke, who, if you don't, Stranger Things, Inside Out too.
Bro.
Yeah, right. Also, yeah, I guess it's not just to you, but also to people who are watching. So we'll just make sure this thing is still working here. Alrighty. What was I saying? Yeah. So she basically said, I think her father said the same thing, but she was essentially talking about how nowadays a lot of casting directors and directors, just kind of the whole team, but physical casting directors look for a quota to fill for social media. They're looking for a follower count to fill a quota to put someone in a movie, right? So basically, it's maybe the producers will go to them and be like, okay, casting director, I need you to cast people for this upcoming movie or for this production, and I need a minimum quota of 3 million followers. Which is crazy, because it's like, what are we doing? Because why is social media basically influencing your decision on who to cast in a movie? Like, I get it. Okay, I get it. Some of these movies need to sell and make money, but I also Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's not an actor, but he's a director. Still, he's attached to the film. His name carries a lot of weight. He's famous for not having any social media. The man uses the flip phone. The man literally uses the flip phone. Cillian Murphy and Christopher Nolan worked on was one of the biggest films, one of the greatest films of that year, 2023, on Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan doesn't have a phone. He has a flip phone. He doesn't have actual, mobile iPhone, whatever, cell phone. And Cillian Murphy does not have any social media. And a lot of those folks in that film don't have social media. I think it's very frustrating, because it kind of disenfranchises younger people, because older people who are already more established, they don't have to have social media because they already have their name. But younger people need to have social media. And it's you might be like, well, they kind of already do have it sometimes, but it's this quota that needs to be filled. And it really is a shame, because I think that also can be made a case to disenfranchise. That's what I'm talking about. I think this can make a case to hinder people of color a lot of the time, because sometimes the algorithm doesn't push us as much, right? Or sometimes people who are followed on Instagram or TikTok are followed because maybe of their looks, right? And then we know that a lot of people of color don't fit those societal standards and those beauty standards, and they don't meet the look, so sometimes they don't have as much attention, right? You know what I mean? So
I feel you.
What do you think about that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I look at talent as something that's God-given. Mm-hmm. It's God-given, it's natural. God put you on this earth for a reason, and God put you on this earth for a mission. You're here to complete that mission. So social media, technology, AI, whatever, if you got it and it's inside you and you're hungry, you're passionate, that's going to shine through regardless. So that's all, like you said, all the people that worked on Oppenheimer, I didn't see that movie, I'm sorry. All the people that worked on that that had no social media, but it still became a box office hit. That's why, bro. Sure, technology is important, yeah, but when you look at the purpose of technology, or the reason why things are becoming more technical, it's because technology does the things that we don't really want to do, or makes the things that we don't want to do easier. So therefore, it was never really a necessity if you're an actor where your main things are your voice, how you look, how good you are at acting. The directors going on Instagrams and social media to find people for the roles, that's not right at all. That's not right. No. That's messed up, because at the end of the day, looking at someone through, I know there's virtual auditions, don't get me wrong, but looking at someone through a screen and actually making a genuine connection with that person, performing in front of you and showing you how great they are and showing you what they need to work on, that's a vulnerable moment that technology could never reciprocate or replace. You know what I'm saying? So I feel as though, yeah, that's not right, but a rebuttal to that is like the God-given talent that we all were given, because we're all good at something. Nobody's a nobody, and nobody is, bad at everything. That's impossible. You might not be automatically good at it. You might have to build on it, but that doesn't mean you're just horrible at it. You feel me? When you got it like that, technology is just something you use to work for you to make it easier in the long run. Not a crutch where a director picked out their casting from Instagram, I don't even got to check. No. Because really though, what's stopping you from looking up the director, finding their information, seeing, they are looking for potential actors, and texting them yourself? Because I look at an opportunity first of all, people that get opportunities, winners, they take every opportunity given to them, because an opportunity doesn't happen every day, especially an opportunity that'll change your life, like in a big star role. That's not going to come every day. No. So a winner would hop on that opportunity right away and do everything they possibly can. That means hit up the director, market yourself on social media, post videos of you acting, post skits, post reels, do all that to market yourself, put yourself out there, and even texting director if you can, or texting the director's agent, or finding an agent yourself to connect with the director and making those networks to, lock in that opportunity, to secure that opportunity to change your life forever. So even though it can be talked about in a negative light, and it can be viewed in a negative light, at the end of the day, your God-given talent and what you do to secure that opportunity is what matters more than social media or anything standing in your way.
Wow. Charlie Taylor, I want to thank you so much for today's amazing podcast episode. Do a little plug. Where can they find you at?
Y'all can find me on Instagram at Charlie4K, 2 E's, 4K, 4K. You know what I'm saying? I love being here. Also, please listen to I Love Your Smile by Shawnee's. That is my favorite song. That song represents me. That song represents everything I'm about. And everybody, just want to give a shout out. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my mom. Without them, I wouldn't even be here. Shout out to God. Always. Shout out to my co-stars, Immy, Jordan, Jabari, Naomi, Heidi. Shout out to all of them, because they were all some overstudies and understudies. I love you all. Thank you for having me, and everybody have a blessed night and a good night when you see this.
All right. Thank you so much.